play a game. It's a game I made up where I used 4 kinds of software and I analyze and take apart a game. And this game is called Find Your Own Way Home by REO Speedwagon. I start up my day with 4 kinds of software. The first one I'll use is the game software, and I'll go to that in a second. Also, from there I will go to Photoshop. This is Photoshop Elements. From Photoshop Elements I'll go to some comics or graphic novel software called Manga Studio Debut. Let's see, fourth part. I'll go to Word and complete an essay, and from the essay I'll go on to the internet and work on a blog. That software is online. So to begin, in the first 15 minutes I'll start the game Find Your Own Way Home by REO Speedwagon. Made the game mainly to sell CDs, and I'm an artist like the rock group, different medium of course, but I can use a game to sell my art. By analyzing their game, how it's structured, what kind of artworks they use, what the points of the traditional games are that they are using, I might be able to reinvent the game into my own form, which is the art form of printmaking. Here's how the game begins. I press play. I'm in level 26 of chapter 3, which was arrange the photographs, and I got interested in how I could use this game in mine. So I'll try organizing these photographs and see what happens. If I can move these around randomly until I hit something and get a sense of what this picture is supposed to be. There's one. They might be in sequence. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it in making this tutorial. The most important thing I think I should include here is that it's time to take a photograph of this screen, which I will use later on. And you do that by going to the upper right corner of your keyboard, and there's a key called Print Screen, and you give that a touch, and that has put this image onto your clipboard. And in the next section you'll see how I take that image from the clipboard and modify it and prepare it, make it into a trading card, an artist trading card. So that's all for this section, and on the next section we'll make the artist trading card. Now here we are in session 2. I'm in session 2. In the first session, you remember I saved or grabbed a photo, an image of the screen. So now it's time to open my graphics program. This one is called Photoshop Elements, and I can go to the screen and take the image from that clipboard, and here it is. If you watch session 1, you recognize the picture of the photographs. And in this session you're supposed to move these photographs around until they fit a certain order. And it occurred to me when I played this game, in my game analytic mode of thinking, there wasn't any real sense to these games except that when you got it landed in the right spot, it lit up. In my game I can start thinking, from having done this little exercise of gameplay, as to how I would arrange a number of photographs in my game to fit the backstory. But anyway, the procedure here in Photoshop Elements is to do a number of things. One is to change the mode. I'm not ready for this. I've got to go back to the image and change the mode to grayscale. It's only because I don't need to work with color. Change the brightness. Later I'll be printing this in black and white, and I don't. And flatten it. Need a small file, and change the image size to 2.25. This is an important number because it fits into the trading card later on, and the resolution should be high, like 300 dpi. Then I have tucked in my files a template, which I call the Artist Trading Card blank, ATC Artist Trading Card. Go back here to the first image and select it all, and drag it over and position it in my ATC template, and take that layer out. I'm finished with this now, and save it. Today we are on the imaginary island of Risma, so I save that in the Professional Studios as a JPEG file. Change the name of this to today's date, and island RI 10 for the year 01, and the date is the 30th, and I give that the keyword REO so I can separate it from other trading cards I might be working on. In the spirit of improvisation, I try to think of a title, and what occurs to me is that there's no real reason or thought as to what these pictures stand for, so I'm going to call it Meaning versus Meaninglessness. What I mean by that, just as an editorial aside, is that this game has no there's no meaning to the arrangement of the pictures. They're just, if they happen to land on the right spot, then they have meaning, but other than that, they have no meaning at all. And call it quits for now. Thanks for watching. Now I'm in session 3. I've finished my work from section 2 with this image of an artist trading card based on the REO Speedwagon game, Find Your Own Way Home. In that game I was in level 25 of chapter 3, and I had been faced with a table full of cards that had no meaning, and so I decided to change this in my project here of re-engineering a computer game by a rock group to make it a computer game by a printmaking artist. In my story, a woman is traveling from Hawaii to Brazil, and these snapshots I've made into blanks and to show each stop or each point in her journey. So that's a brief overview of what I did in session 2. Now I'm going into session 3, which is be done in the software called Manga Studio Debut. It's a graphic novel or comics software package. I'm going to import my work from my last session into this program and enlarge it, and begin working on it as if it's a page in a comic book or a graphic novel. I think first I'll establish some text, maybe give it a name. I'll use the same name I did in the last session. I need to make that a large face type, let's say like 48, and type in my title, Meaning versus Meaninglessness. And I can also at this point start a story, but I don't want to use a large typeface, of course. I'll use a smaller typeface like 11, and zoom in on it a bit so that I can see it and start typing my story. In the rock groups game we find, and so on. I can write a whole paragraph here, and I will, and that paragraph then becomes the launching point for the next session, which is in Word, which has to do with explaining what I'm doing, explaining the image, and getting ready to make it into a blog. So I'll call a stop now to this recording session for section 3 of my 4-part series of how I dissect or take apart a game in order to learn how to make a game for my. Now at the end of this session, returning to my work, you can see that I've written some text in there, a little commentary about what ought to be done in a serious game. And I shouldn't leave this program without first adding some drawing. After all, this is the strength of this particular software, Manga Studio. So I can do some drawing using, in this case, the marking tool, and begin doing some drawing. And since I'm kind of in the mode of invention and thinking, it's a little hard for me to do anything more than some cartooning, but just to give you the idea, this is me, by the way, and I'm wondering and thinking what should be meaningful in this game. So that's it for this session, and now I'll return to I'll go to the next session, which is to make the text part. But I can't leave here until I've copied this text by highlighting it and pressing Control C so that I can copy it to the copyboard. Then I'll save the file and close and go into the next session in Word, where I'll be in the 4th session. This is the end of the 3rd session, and I'll see you again in the 4th session, and I'll work with text and blogging. And now I'm in the 4th section of my 4-part morning ritual of taking apart a computer game by REO Speedwagon called Find Your Own Way Home, analyzing the different mini games throughout, and adapting it to my own serious game for learning or enjoying or appreciating printmaking. Now you can see, if you've seen sessions 1 and 2 and 3, you can see from session 1 the image of the desktop, which I have modified in session 2 using Photoshop into making my own card game on arrangement of cards on a desktop. And in session 3, the Manga Studios, this text in Manga Studios, the text was taken out of that page and pasted into Word, and then I added on to that in the last few minutes and completed an essay. What remains now is the uploading of this material, the subject material, to my to a website for a blog, and I do that by highlighting the statistics of the essay, do a Control Copy to copy it, and then go up to the blog. I'll be going to, in this case, I have about 12 blogs, and in this one I'll be going to one called Making Emeralda 2. I need to sign in, tell it that I want to make a new post, paste in the material that I saved. The title goes into the title box, the statistics go into their proper place, and put in a photograph, just as I did with the, and then publish the post. Take a look at it. There it is, with the subject line, the snapshot, and all the rest. And that completes my morning session. This was the end of session 4 in my 4-part session. 1 hour it usually takes, so that completes the 4 parts. You've covered basically gameplay, graphics, comics, and text. And finally, you took it online. That's it. I'm Bill Ritchie. Thank you for watching these 4 sessions.